got a re-sign in to talk about, and I think we should address the wide receiver room. What is up, Finn fans? No hat today. I'm getting a haircut tomorrow. Leave me alone. We're going to be talking about Miami Dolphins re-signing Elandon Roberts, which I'm actually very happy about. We'll talk about that. We're going to talk about this wide receiver room that is very deep. I'll give you guys a little bit of an update on what the cap situation is, and then I'm going to get to one of you guys' comments of the day. So I got a nice little video for you guys today. It's a late one. I think I'm recording this right now at around 9:30. So you probably get around 10:30. It takes me about an hour to do it all. But before we jump into that, I got a few people to shout out. First and foremost, Damon Domino for joining the Patreon. Thank you so much for joining. Again, if you guys want to join, it is linked below. Got a ton of cool stuff that's going to happen over there. I'm also, like I said, working on having a membership on YouTube. That's going to incorporate when I go live. You guys are going to get special icons. You guys will become mods. All this cool stuff. I got a lot going on. Also, shout out to Derek. Grabbed himself some DDW merch. Got himself a black t-shirt. So shout out to him. Thank you so much. Again, if you guys want to grab some merch, you can also see it below the video. But never, like I said, and I'll say it 1,000 times, never feel like you need to do this stuff. Watching, subscribing is all I ever want from you. Also, patchvibes.com. Wearing their shirt again. Got some fantastic patches. Be sure to check them out. Use the promo code DDW. You get yourself 20% off. So let's jump into this. The Miami Dolphins are re-signing Elandon Roberts, probably a 1-year, $2 million contract, give or take, like they did last year. Official contract hasn't been released, so I don't know how long, how much. But the signing of him, I like a lot. Because if you remember last year, this dude was running people over. There was a few games where he was just destroying people, especially running backs in the backfield. Really like this signing. Adds that depth to the linebacker core with all the other signings we did with Brennan Scarlett, Bailey, all those really good guys. And then McKinney's trade. Bring back Vince Beagle. We have, Baker. Then we, Sam McGuavin. We have Andrew Van Ginkel, really building up the core. Also, this draft is deep in linebackers. So I wouldn't be surprised if they also drafted a linebacker maybe in the 3rd round. So really building this linebacker core, and I'm really excited about it. He did have a right knee injury that ended his season that he did have surgery on to make it stronger. What I'm hearing is that his rehab is going well. It's probably going to be, he'll be good to go for the start of the season, but don't be surprised if he starts the start of the season on the physically unable to perform list. And then maybe 2 weeks in, give or take, he'll be able to play. But really like this signing. Like I said, I don't know the exact contract, but it's probably the same as it was last year, a 1-year, $2 million contract. And he really played well. So I'm very happy about that. Now let's talk about these wide receivers. The Miami Dolphins right now, well, first off, sorry, before we jump into the wide receivers, with that signing, the Miami Dolphins are sitting at a $10.5 million cap. You need about $12 million to sign your draft picks, your undrafted free agents, and your practice squad. So they're probably going to have to make some moves, do some cuts or re-signing something to get there. But also about 3/4 of the league need to do that stuff. So we'll see how this all pans out before the draft starts and all that good stuff. Now let's get into the wide receivers. And they got a lot. They got 12, give or take, right? Malcolm Perry isn't listed as just a wide receiver on their site. It's running back / wide receiver, because you'll see in about 2 seconds when I pop up the list of wide receivers. He's not on there. And a lot of you guys will be like, well, Malcolm Perry. I know, but he's a running back / wide receiver on their site. And like I just popped up, these guys are just listed as wide receivers. So altogether, the Miami Dolphins have 12 wide receivers. Lynn Bowden Jr., Robert Foster, who they just signed, Will Fuller, who they just signed, Jakeem Grant Sr., Matt Collins, who they re-signed, happy about that, Alan Hearns, Kai Loxley, who they just signed, also played quarterback in college, Kirk Merritt, Devontae Parker, Preston Williams, and Albert Wilson. Did you notice that Albert Wilson and Alan Hearns don't have jersey numbers? That's because Lynn Bowden Jr. is wearing 15, so Albert Wilson's going to have to figure that out or talk to Lynn Bowden Jr. But this wide receiver room is very crowded. And just because they have 12 on the roster does not mean that they won't draft one. Doesn't mean that in the top 10, say they trade back or they stay at 3, they won't take one. That doesn't mean any of that, because if you look at this wide receiver core, right, you have Will Fuller has a 1-game suspension, tends to be injured, doesn't play. I don't think this guy has ever played a full season, right? Devontae Parker, injury prone. Preston Williams never played a full season. Albert Wilson came off of that serious hip injury. Before that, fantastic. I hope he comes back to that form. The Chicago Bears game, the Raiders game, that form before the injury. Then you look at, Kai Lockster, Kirk Merritt, Robert Foster, these guys, even Lynn Bowden and even Malcolm Perry. These guys are just, what can they do? They haven't really done much. What can they do? And then you have like Allen Hurns, Matt Collins, Jakeem Grant. These are guys that are just meh to me. Allen Hurns is just a meh. Matt Collins is a really good special teamer, and you saw the nice touchdown pass he had from Tua. The catch against the Raiders to help us get in field goal range. Jakeem Grant's got the speed, great kick return, and his hands are made of butter. That being said, though, I'll pop up the video of him and Albert Wilson meeting up with Tua, working with Tua, having these throwing sessions, getting continuity with him, which makes me very happy that now Tua has the opportunity to do this. Last offseason, he was rehabbing at this point. People didn't even think he would be able to, he was barely walking at this point. If you all remember, we were all like, the limp. Is he limping? Is he not limping? Oh my God, look at that walk. We were all analyzing his walks. Now he's actually able to meet with his wide receivers, throw around. So I'm very excited, very interested to see how this all pans out with him. But looking at this wide receiver core, I could see a few guys that are just kind of, they're going to need to either be special teamers, or they're going to need to play hard to make the roster, like Robert Foster, Kai Locksley, even Kirk Merritt, even Jakeem Grant. Jakeem Grant can get cut, and they actually could save a lot of money. Well, not a lot, but they could save money with cutting Jakeem Grant. So these are guys that they're going to have to play hard in training camp, especially to beat if the Dolphins do bring in some drafted players in the top 2 rounds at wide receiver. They have to play hard to beat them out. But it's I have this whole thing, this whole series going, right? I'm going to do the top 5 prospects of each position. Then I'm going to do after that during training camp, who's kind of, the camp battles of each position. And then when cuts come around, I'm going to predict the cuts. So I have a lot planned. So this is just kind of a little taste of what I have planned for the wide receivers. Because when the camp battles come, I'll talk about who we have and who's battling who and who I think will make it and who I think will be the odd man out. But to say that we got 12 wide receivers is pretty ridiculous. But I expect them to add more. You need to have, I don't even know the exact number. It's like around 90 something. You don't need to, but it's like 90 something's the limit for training camp. And I don't think they're even near 90. So they're going to add more. But be sure to comment below. What do you guys think of the re-signing of Elandon Roberts? What do you think about the fact that we have 12 wide receivers? Who do you think's the odd man out? What do you think about the fact that Tua actually is meeting with Albert Wilson and Jakeem Grant to work with them, throw the ball, actually has the opportunity to do this compared to last year? Comment below. And we'll get to one of you guys' comments of the day. Comment comes from Bryson, and Bryson says, comment of the day. What could we get in return if we trade out of 3 overall? Swap firsts, of course, but a future first as well. Second this year. So I'm going to pop up a chart, right? And I'll try to keep it up there, but it's big. And for you guys to really read it, I have to make it big, and then it's going to cover me. So I'll pop it up. I'll talk over it, and then we'll get to that, right? So this is essentially each draft pick has a value. And if you see the Dolphins sitting at number 23 have a 2,200 point value, right? So if the Carolina Panthers sitting there at 8 wants to move up to 3, they have to make up the difference of that value and give the Dolphins about 800 points of difference, right? So if you look at 800 points, and if you look at the Carolina Panthers, right, their second round pick this year cost 510 points. So that's not even enough just to give us their second this year. And if you look at their third, number 73, their third overall, third round pick, that's 225 points. That's not even enough to make up the 800-point difference going from pick number 8 to 3. So they would have to give us their second, their third, and possibly their fourth at 68 points to make up that jump from 8 to 3. So now I'm back on camera. That being said, instead of giving the Dolphins their second, third, and fourth, they probably will give us like their fourth and their first next year, or their third and their first next year, or something like that, because we don't know what point value they'd be sitting at next year and with that first, right? Say the Carolina Panthers do really well and they end up with like the 27th overall pick. That's only 680 points, right? So to say what we could get is hard, because who would want to move up, right? Like I said, the Dolphins sitting at 3 have 2,200 points. Say, I'm trying to pick another team, like the Philadelphia Eagles, they would only have to give us about 600. That's not that much. They probably give us their sixth and their second, and we could just switch spots like that. That would not be a problem. Their second's about 530 points, so maybe like their second and like their fifth, and we would just switch places that way. But that's where the next year's drafts come into place. So, and also, before I forget about this, because I wanted to talk about this, demand. The Miami Dolphins might be sitting at 3, right? And you're saying to yourself, okay, well, the Carolina Panthers are calling us right now, and they need to give us, like I said, 800 points to jump from 8 to 3. But also, the Eagles are calling us because they want, whoever. The Cincinnati Bengals are calling us because Sewell's still on the board. The Minnesota Vikings are calling us because they want Justin Fields. The Las Vegas Raiders are calling us because they want some. So, you got a bunch of teams calling because, say, the Jets take Sewell and you have Wilson and Fields there. Then the calls start happening even more. Then you have two teams competing with each other. So now it's not even about, okay, well, the Carolina Panthers need to give us 800 points, but the Philadelphia Eagles only need to give us 600 points. Well, now they have to compete with each other. So the Eagles could be like, well, I'll give you, the 600 points. So they give us any draft, whatever draft pick combination gives us 600 points. But then the Carolina Panthers have to give us more. So they give us more, and then the Eagles are like, well, then they have to compensate. So for me to sit here and do the point value, which I wanted to show you because there is point values that the GMs kind of go off of, because if you look at the 7th round, it's all just 1 point for 7th round picks. And that's why some of the trades that the Dolphins did, like the one for Shaheen, only costed a point. It was nothing to trade for Shaheen. These point systems do matter because GMs kind of look at it, but also how many teams want that draft pick inflates what the team will get. And I think if we sit back, and I know a lot of people want Sewell to go to Miami to 3, but if the Jets throw a monkey wrench in the whole system and they do stick with Sam Darnold, which would be the dumbest thing they ever did, which us as Dolphin fans would be excited for, all of a sudden 3 becomes even hotter of a commodity because now there's 2 potential quarterbacks sitting there that there's a few teams below 3 that really are interested in. So the Dolphins could get a ransom at 3 if Sewell goes 2. Because like I said, the bidding will raise that price up. The Dolphins will definitely get a first next year. If we're sitting here on draft night, because I will be live on draft night, if we're sitting here on draft night, pick 1, Justin Lawrence. Who the heck is Justin Lawrence? Trevor Lawrence goes 1 to the Jaguars. We're all like, buh. But imagine if he doesn't. Imagine Justin Fields goes 1 to, it's not going to happen. Lawrence 1, and we're sitting there 2. All of a sudden, Goodell comes, and I think they'll be live, so I don't think he's going to be in his living room again. He says the New York Jets, with the 2nd overall pick, take Sewell. I'm not even going to try to say his first name. The Miami Dolphins phone would explode. My phone would explode. We'd be watching it live. Jets take Sewell, all of a sudden you'd hear kaboom, and I'd be like, my phone just exploded, and I'm not even the Dolphins GM. The Dolphins GM phone would explode because all of a sudden everyone would want 3. Are you kidding me? I have to get in front of all of these quarterback needy teams. Even Detroit. Detroit might want to move up for a quarterback. Screw Goff. Denver might want to move up for a quarterback. There's a ton of teams that might just. We might get a first next year. We might get a second this year. It would be. I know you guys want Sewell. I want Sewell. I think Sewell, is a fantastic, fantastic tackle. But if all of a sudden you can get a ransom for 3, comment below. Would you give up the potential of getting Sewell to get a ransom of draft picks to pick up Kyle Pitts, still get like a Slater, still get Najee Harris, and I'm talking not one of these, but all of these players. Would you want that? Would you give up the potential of getting such a great player in Sewell to get so many? That's why I'm torn. Sitting here draft night, I might be like, Jets, take Sewell. Take Sewell. Have 2 quarterbacks on the board right now. Take Sewell. Comment below. I want to know what you guys think. Would you guys be all right with that? But that's the video. I thought I'd come on here and talk about the wide receivers, Elandon Roberts, give you guys a little bit of a heads up. I'm going to start talking draft soon. But be sure to check out Miami Sports Music. They have a ton of great podcasts on there. I'll pop them up. You can see all the podcasts they got going on there. Me and TD are a part of it. Be sure to check them out. Hit that subscribe button on their channel. Other than that, guys, I will see you in the next video. If news breaks that the Dolphins make a cut, re-sign, restructuring, or they sign somebody, you're going to get a video from me. But other than that, guys, like usual, stay classy. And fins up.